So, Kathy, here's the deal. So here's the first swing today, and here's the swing you just made. Now, right there, the club head look about the same, but notice the next frame. You see how much closer this is to the plane line, because you're trying to feel like you're swinging out to the right, out to the woods, way out to the right of our target line. And so that is indeed, see that ball starting left on the old gold, whereas here on the new blue, that ball is starting much straighter. Does that make sense? Much more. So that's taken away a lot of the pull as you've hit this batch, as opposed to being above that plane line. And right from the start today, those extended arms that you've been thinking about a lot since back in March are indeed getting a whole lot better. Right there. So that's great work. That was the first one today. And here's the last one today. Again, those arms are extended much, much better right through there than back in March. And also what we saw today was that you're shifting your weight real well, and that arm extension compared to what you started with back in March is much better today than what we saw back there in March, where your hands were pretty close to your shoulders at that point, whereas here they're much farther away, and that's why that left arm's not showing up down on your side so much as it was back in March. And then, so I said, the main thing to help get you out of that fat shot is to, get that club head on the plane line. That was a practice swing. You see how good that was. And here was the ball on the first one. So, like I said, and you said, that's not it. That's still above the line, but it's closer than what you started with today. So on our analog continuum, you're gaining on it. If that's about a 6 or 7, that's better than the 3 or 4 you started with today and back in March. And that one I think was a little fat, but like we're noticing, even if they're a little fat, when you're on plane, the ball goes better, because you're sweeping it off the turf a little more so than gouging down into the turf with the club head being above that plane line a lot. There you go. There's a nice straight one. Because again, that was on the plane line better. And then from this face-on angle, those arms are definitely more extended. And like you said, you've been able to feel the difference the last couple months. You've been able to tell the contrast. And so relative to the, there are those better arms. Much better than what we saw back there in March. So again, you're heading to the right side of the good side of life there, the good side of the continuum.
Okay, one thing I was going to ask you watching this is the way I begin, are my hands too far up?
Well, that's a good question.
Because
let's look at that.
It looks like that maybe the way that I'm holding the club.
Well, that's a good question, but I don't want to get into that yet. That would be a little too much to bite off today. You could let your hands go down a little bit if you want to there, and then next time we'll spend some more time on that. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say
possibly the line would be better if my hands were
a little lower. Yeah, which is fine. I'd say go ahead and play with that a few days on your own. I think that's fine to do that. Now let me show you this. You asked about. Okay, so we dealt with the full swing there. Okay, that's plenty to bite off today. And again, like I said, no new medicines today. It's the same medicines as several weeks ago, a couple months ago, but it's you understanding it more thoroughly and how it practically applies to you, which I love. You're asking great questions about it, and you're seeing good differences in the ball flights and feels when you make the better moves that I'm showing you. So now this, let me show you this. In terms of, like you said, I hit my wedge 90 yards and goes over the green sometimes, and then sometimes it doesn't go 60 or 70 or 80, right? So one of the best things you can do for that is to indeed practice out on the course as much as you can. This is on my YouTube channel. This is the young man you just met here 2.5 years ago when he was about a foot shorter. You see that ball bouncing? I didn't see that ball bouncing. It's out there somewhere. But now hitting 10 drives would take a while to pick up. They tend to be scattered around pretty much. So, that one bounced over here in the rough, bouncing up into the fairway right there. So, but also what I highly recommend is doing it into a green. Like this is Taylor 2.5 years ago, hitting into our 7th green with this 6-iron, I think it was. So he has about 95 yards to the middle of the green. But back then, when he was that little, he was only 11 years old, 10 and a half, 11 years old, he's hitting his 6-iron. So now, when these 10 balls finish, since we had the good yardage book, see here's the 7th hole in the yardage book for meta lengths, and I think y'all have something similar to this. Don't you have a card for O'Bannon? A little yardage card?
Well, total yardage.
Yeah, but there's a card that shows you the depth of the green. I have it in my stack up here, in my collection. Okay, ask around about that. Maybe they've been holding out on you. But see, every time he hits this now, because he knows, see, I moved the tee markers there, I confess, to the greenskeeper, that I moved those about 5 yards in front of the 101 plaque right there from the gold teeing ground. So he had 95 yards to the middle, and you see this green's 29 deep, so that means he had 95 to the middle. That means he had 80 to the front edge. So now every time he hits this, he watches it like a hawk. So that one bounced right over there. So now he knows within 2 or 3 yards how far that shot actually went while he's standing right there on the tee.
Okay, if you mean from the tees, yes. Because sometimes what we will do is go out on our own and just practice into a green.
Right, that's what I mean.
But you can't always, that's not always.
Yeah, you can't do that on a Saturday morning at 9:30 on the first fairway, right? But I'm just saying, you're asking how to learn how to practice that and how to learn how far your different clubs go. This is how to do it right here. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He has 10 balls up there on the green now. He left a putter, a chip with all 10 of those, which is golf success for an approach in my definition. But also, this is a great way now. You see his average is right about here. So now he knows he had 80 to the front edge, 95 to the middle, so he knows he averaged right on about 90 yards there with that 6-iron or 8-iron, whatever he had a couple years ago when he was more little. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's a very good way to find out again how far those clubs actually go for you. And again, but y'all have been members there for several years, right? A few years.
Yeah.
So you know the traffic.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, you and Dave know the traffic. You know when you can get on the first hole and won't be too busy, or second or third, or the 18th hole, or the 6th hole out away from the pro shop, or something like that, when you know nobody's coming through. Okay? So that'll be a great way for you to learn about those clubs. And we can do that right out here. If we want to, we can do that next time or the time afterwards. Okay? All right, so we'll stop there for today.